I've been living in the Alaskan wilderness for more than a month now, filming the extraordinary world of a man who chooses to live with wild brown bears. David Bittner wants to prove that we can live in harmony with these fearsome creatures.
Bears are not these animals to be feared of, but to be respected.
Armed with just my camera, I have already followed David to the Grizzly maze.
Look, bear's been here.
The place where Timothy Treadwell was infamously mauled to death by a bear.
Definitely not a spot to camp without an electric fence.
I've learned how to survive entirely off the land.
We are going to be eating fresh Alaskan halibut.
In some of the harshest conditions on the planet.
This is the worst I've ever been bitten.
I've been surprised by some of the bears, and within touching distance to others. Now we're going in search of one of nature's most spectacular events, the annual salmon run.
If you ever get to witness a run, it's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It happens just once a year and attracts scores of hungry bears.
We're off to the creek. It's pouring with rain.
In my bid to understand what drives David to risk his life each year, I will have to brave Alaska's elements.
Last night, this tent nearly blew down.
While living among the world's largest land predators. It's September in Alaska, and I'm now over a month into my stay with bearman David Bittner. As summer draws to a close, the lakes around us are beginning to fill with salmon that have all returned from the Pacific Ocean to spawn. If we're lucky, David and I could be about to witness one of nature's most impressive events, the annual salmon run. But the timing of the run is incredibly unpredictable and can vary from season to season. There is no guarantee we'll get to see it.
If you ever get to witness a run, salmon run, it's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen, because the creek is so steep and all these salmon, hundreds and hundreds of salmon, they try to fight their way up there, and it's just crazy. But it's definitely a dangerous place because the possibility to meet or even surprise a bear at close distance.
The prospect of seeing the salmon run really excites me. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But the arrival of autumn also has its downside. The days are getting shorter, which is making it even more difficult to charge my camera batteries.
Well, here's my solar unit. This is how it works. The camera has these large block batteries, and I need to charge those without a generator, as we're not allowed one. That's the solar panel, and it's trying to catch the last of the evening sun. And the solar panel feeds an inverter, and the inverter hopefully charges up my batteries.
This morning, David and I are making our way to the creek where the salmon run will take place. Unfortunately, this involves one of my least favorite Alaskan pastimes: crawling through bear trails.
Well, coming out of this bear trail here, down to a little beach. And one thing I wanted to make sure of is, what do I do if there's a real emergency? So number one is emergency beacon registered. If I set it off, the people at the base station know that it's me, exactly where I am, and that it could be a bear incident. And the other thing is this around my neck. It has all my medical records on it, blood groups, contact numbers, so they can help me by looking at my medical records, and if the worst comes to the worst, at least they know where to send the remains. Somebody else has been here. David, why do you speak to the bears in English? Why not German?
I don't know. It's just since I'm a visitor to the States and everybody speaks English, I just speak to the bears in English. This might sound ridiculous, but it's just how I started doing it, and ever since I've been talking to the bears in English. Hey, bear! It's really close now. You can hear the water running down the rocks already. That's it. That's the creek. Always a special moment when you arrive here. And no bears around. All quiet. That's the place that's going to explode once it starts raining. And when the water level rises and all the fish that are still stuck in the lake right now, they will all fight their way upstream to reach their spawning grounds. And that's when the bears come here and have their easy. They can just grab and pick the salmon.
It's hard to imagine that at some point in the next few weeks, this dry creek will be flowing with water, full of fish and hungry bears. While there were no bears at the creek, David has spotted some movement much closer to home.
Richard, take your camera out. Bring your camera. But be quiet. Over there, really close to the camp. It's the mother bear and her two cubs playing in the grass. You see her? Look at them. They're all on their back, rolling over, so close to camp. It's just great. This really is a sign of that they're totally tolerating us and don't mind the presence of this camp for having their playtime.
I'm glad I'm on this side of the electric fence. A mother bear nursing her cubs is considered to be one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. I've also heard that they are responsible for a large majority of bear attacks on humans.
David, this is a mother with cubs. Do you know this bear?
This mother bear, I'm starting really to think that it might be one of the mama bears I met last year, which I named Lily, because she was really showing a lot of tolerance towards my presence with her two yearlings. And if it is really her, I'm very happy to see both of her cubs still alive, doing well, you know, growing up, which is really makes me feel happy.
Filming bears from a distance is one thing, but getting shots of them close up is another. They are wary of my camera, and I have to be extremely patient before they'll approach me. To make matters worse, I'm also completely at the mercy of the elements.
I'm really not happy tonight. This is the second time I've tried a really complicated shot. Light all day until the moment of my shot, and one cloud in the entire sky stopped my shot happening. So I sat down after swearing at the cloud, and I sat down on my bear spray. I have bear spray here, and I've taken the safety clip out because they've done it again. Oh, I don't believe it. Just like that, it went inside my jacket and made me cough pretty much like I'm coughing now. I can't believe I've done it.
After 5 weeks in the wilderness, I'm beginning to feel at ease around the bears. While we wait for the salmon run to begin, David Bittner has been developing his relationship with a mother bear. This is Lily and her cubs, the family that was playing close to our camp just a couple of days ago.
One of the two cubs is a female, which I named Lala. The other one is a male, which I called Lulu. You do develop a certain relationship towards individual bears, and this just makes you feel like they are part of your friends and family. So I really care about them, how they're doing. They are definitely play a very important role in my life.
Hello, Mama. It's okay. It's okay.
It's not the first time I've seen David this close to a bear,
It's okay.
but this is no ordinary bear.
It's okay.
It's a mother with her cubs.
It's okay.
They are extremely protective over their young and have a fearsome reputation.
See? It's okay. It's okay.
It's great to be that close to a family. And you might think that
It's okay, Mama.
oh, they didn't get it. You might think that it's a very frightening thing to be close to a mother and cubs. To be honest, this is the ultimate demonstration of a bear family which even accepts my presence. And it's just wonderful.
It's okay.
It's astonishing. When I watch David sitting within touching distance to Lily,
It's okay.
I can understand why he chooses to live among bears.
It's okay.
It must be an incredible feeling to be that close and completely at ease around one of the most volatile animals on the planet. I've left David back at camp. It's the first time I've been this close to one of these giant bears on my own. His size is absolutely breathtaking.
This bear here, I've decided I wanted to call him Oliver. He's a really good fisherman. He snorkels, he catches fish at least every 2 minutes. Beautiful creature. These Katmai bears, they're not the thing of nightmares.
It's illegal to advance within 50 yards of a bear in Katmai National Park. You have to let them approach you. But this is perhaps a little too close for comfort. The autumn rains have yet to arrive. While this means I'm able to charge my camera batteries in the sun, the water levels are still too low for the salmon run to begin. The mountain lakes are filling up with fish, the very thing that brought David to Alaska all those years ago.
I love these silvers. Great fish, great fish.
David and I have decided to take advantage and stock up on our supplies.
How important is this for you, David, living off the land?
This is very important. I really love to, whatever it is, if it's just berry picking or mushrooms, gives you a good feeling. To earn your dinner yourself, it's double as good as if you would buy it in the store.
I was warned before I came out here that the weather in Alaska could change in an instant. We've just returned from our fishing trip, and already the sky is completely overcast. This could be the start of the salmon run, which is the highlight of David's year. For a bear-obsessed fisheries biologist, it just doesn't get any better.
That's it, that's it. There comes the rain. Hooray! And now the water level is going to rise and it's going to kick off the place. There will be lots of action, maybe even in a couple of hours. We will check it out soon. That's good news. First time I'm really excited about some rain arriving.
This is so impressive. Sitting in the pouring rain, and look what I have for dinner. Fresh silver salmon, warm rice, soy sauce, wasabi. Sushi in the rain. Well done, David, on catching that silver salmon.
This is my first experience of real Alaskan rain. And to say it's relentless would be an understatement.
It's rained most of yesterday, all night, and now it's still pouring with rain. So David will be happy, the salmon run and the bears should all be happy today. But I'm on my own. We've got to get from camp to the creek, which is a long distance, with all the equipment and film out in this rain. I've got to look after this equipment because it can get ruined in this torrential downpour. So for me, it's going to be miserable.
The fence on?
Fence is on.
We're off. We're off to the creek. It's pouring with rain. And, oh well, everything's neatly packed away. And it's time to go and see some bears doing their stuff.
Yeah!
Looking forward to it?
Sure.
Are we nearly there yet, David?
Last stretch to the creek.
Oh, not another bear trail. Oh, thanks, David.
This is it. Really close to the creek now.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. I can barely contain my excitement.
Let's slow down for everyone.
Have you seen something?
Always try to listen.
David.
Not yet. Still got to wait a little. No fish in the creek, no bears around. No bears around. Obviously the water level in the upper lake is really low, so it takes some time to fill up the upper lake until this creek gets running water.
After weeks of waiting and days of endless rain, I really thought the salmon run was upon us. Words can't describe how disappointed I feel. I'm beginning to wonder if I'll ever see this so-called spectacle. And just to rub my nose in it, nature hasn't finished with me quite yet.
Oh! Oh, I don't believe it. We've just returned back from our filming experience, and I slipped on a rock, and I whacked myself in the face with my tripod, with the metal spikes on the tripod. So now I have a nice little scar on the end of my nose.
You have to be more careful, Richard. Don't drink too many wine anymore.
I should have had stitches in my nose, but the nearest hospital is on Kodiak Island, a 60-minute flight from here. I really don't want to leave and risk missing the salmon run, so I'm relying on the power of self-healing. I'm desperately trying to be more careful, but that's easier said than done, especially in these conditions.
One of the joys of coming to wash up the dishes in the freezing cold after navigating away over treacherous volcanic rocks. Oh! These things are slippery as hell. And I'm not looking forward to getting my hands in this freezing cold water. But we've got to do it as soon as possible so there's no trace of food around the camp, or the bears might sniff out our delicious porridge.
On this occasion, I think we may have left it too late. We have company, and it looks as though he's carrying an injury. I'm no bear expert, but even I know to stay well clear of a wounded animal.
Looks like you did that washing just in time, David.
Yeah, it really looks like that's something well, there is bears like that, but I don't really like bears that I, first of all, don't know, and then he was really injured, and you never know. An injured bear, nasty-looking bear, he can be dangerous, so that's nature. You can just watch it and be reminded of how brutal life can be, and there is bears killing other bears, but this bear's definitely not going to make it.
I've become rather attached to the bears during my time here, and it's sad to think that this one may not survive the winter. A couple of days later, I discover just how harsh nature can be. As we make our way back from a filming trip, I learn that not only do bears kill each other, they also eat one another.
Now that is one of the scariest feelings I have ever had. We've just come back at last light and stumbled across a food cache, a bear's food cache, containing another dead bear. It's dark, and if the bear had seen us and been there, we wouldn't have stood a chance. David's just got into the camp to lie down, and when he's pulled himself together, I'm going to have to ask him how he feels about this on camera, because I tell you what, it was not a good feeling, smelling the death and realizing that we were in exactly the last place on Earth you should be in here in Katmai National Park. David, it's the first time I've really seen you look concerned. Tell me what happened.
Well, I guess we were pretty lucky today, and I noticed this piece of flesh with fur, definitely bear fur, and you remember I just said, let's get the hell out of there, because this is dangerous. And there is definitely a bear who is guarding this food cache. I would like to hear what's happening around the camp, but you can't because of the rain and wind. And, this makes the whole situation just worse.
We're heading back to where we found the food cache to see if we can identify which bear it belongs to. David told me last night that bears stop at nothing to protect their food. It sounds like it could have been fatal.
That's the spot. I would love to go over there and investigate this food cache, but that would be pretty stupid. I can feel shivers going down my back again. But we should wait here a little while and see if a bear shows up. That would be pretty interesting.
I can see movement in the bushes, but it doesn't look like a bear.
Look at that. Holy Jesus. Holy.
You think that moose knows there are bears here, David?
Never saw a moose that close to all these bears. I don't know if he knows that there's all that bears around him, but a bear is easily capable of killing that male adult moose there.
Really, a moose that size?
Yeah, big males are known to kill big bulls, but never happened to me out here, so quite an exciting moment.
I'm still coming to terms with David's reaction to the moose when two of his favorite bears turn up. But they're not alone.
That's a pretty interesting situation. We have two pairs of siblings. All of them are females. Looney and Suni to the left, and the other two that I don't know to the right. This is like a Mexican standoff between four bears. Now they're holding their ground, Looney and Suni.
David informs me that unlike inland grizzlies, coastal browns have become quite tolerant of each other because of Katmai's rich food source. This is the first time I've seen any sort of conflict among the bears since I arrived.
Come on, you little two strangers. That's Looney's and Suni's spot there. I guess the other two will give way. Uh-oh. Suni at the front and Looney in the back are on their way. The trail which we walked on, and they're gonna stumble on the food cache. I really hope the bear that's eventually guarding it doesn't appear right now. They know exactly that something has happened there. They might even start digging at the cache. Better be careful there. So I better not go and investigate this site. It would be really stupid. Yeah, go and leave that spot, Looney. Good girl.
The temperature has really dropped in recent days. Last night it was -5 degrees. I think it's time I started keeping my boots and waders in the main part of my tent.
I can't even get in these boots. They're solid blocks of ice. If you don't like the cold, don't come camping in Alaska.
In fact, if you don't like being at the mercy of the weather, don't bother coming to Alaska at all. We've been hoping for rainfall so that the salmon run can begin, but it's been dry for days. Now forecasts predict a fierce storm is heading our way.
Well, northeast, 35, increasing, gale warning. I don't bloody believe it.
I'm starting to think this might be a case of be careful what you wish for.
It's day 2 and night 2 of a serious storm, and I'm getting through most of my books now. We've been really lucky with the weather, but if it's like this for much more time, I think I might start going insane.
I don't think so.
I've never felt so cut off from the outside world. We are completely isolated. There is no way a float plane could pick us up in these conditions.
I'm really glad nobody could see me just now. It's pouring with rain, as you can imagine, so why get the pajamas wet? So I ran outside, completely naked in rubber boots, to try and have a pee. So you do what you can to pee into the wind, and no matter what position you get into, the pee just goes everywhere. The headlamp started shining it up, going in my face and all over me, and all you can do is stand in the rain and wait until it's all washed off before you come back in the tent. This is a proper storm.
I'm cold, I'm wet, and after 6 weeks in the wilderness, I'm really missing home.
I am really in trouble now. All of these batteries are dead. I've got one battery left. It's been raining for days, which doesn't stop me filming, but it stops me charging up the batteries because there's no solar panel in the world affordable that will charge up my batteries in the pouring rain. One battery left, and that's the end of filming, so I've got to really be strict about what I film now. Just pray for some sunlight. I don't think it's looking too good out there. Last battery.
We're certainly paying the price for the decent weather at the beginning of the trip. We've had 10 days of rain and wind. Last night, this tent nearly blew down. Our equipment tent's been ripped to shreds.
Look at that. Yeah, that's not funny.
That was definitely one of the top 3 storms I've ever experienced in Alaska.
The storm may have passed, but if we haven't already missed the salmon run, I don't have enough battery power to film it anyway.
The storm created a huge problem. Battery power. I filmed and I couldn't charge anything up with the solar system using this, but then a miracle happened. A little fishing boat turned up and he very kindly let me plug my charger straight into his marine battery using a couple of cables I had.
While waiting for my batteries to charge, I had a good chat with Perry. He's been fishing on the Katmai coast for over 30 years and has been lucky enough to witness the salmon run on a number of occasions. If we do make it to the run in time, I have to say I'm a little worried about the number of bears that could be at the creek.
If a bear attacked David, what should I do?
It's a good question. I think it depends on the whole scenario. I mean, if a bear is attacking David and is not letting up, I think that you better try to save yourself. We run into a similar circumstance, maybe like what happened to Treadwell. She tried to save him from a bear. It's, I mean, if the bear is in a foul mood and if he's wanting to do harm, he's going to do harm. Nothing you can really do about it.
What about a good full blast of a whole canister of pepper spray?
Well, it'd be worth a try, but again, it just depends on the circumstances, I think. But certainly, anything at your disposal to deter that. We also use flares, handheld flares.
But your advice is, if it's set on damage and I've tried everything, just...
Yeah, boy, you better, yep.
And put the camera down.
Yeah, I think you could lose the camera.
We're off to the creek, but as the water level has risen, we're trying a different mode of transport rather than the bear trails. We're going to try and kayak to the creek. Save some schlepping. Should be a lovely view. Looking forward to today?
Sure, always. Hopefully there's still some activity over there. Okay, ready? Oh, what a morning.
Well, the future of this film is in your hands, David.
That's okay. Sometimes you have to run risks. But I'm pretty positive we will make it without capsizing.
After everything we've been through in recent weeks, I really hope we haven't missed the salmon run. After weeks of waiting, countless wasted journeys, and then 12 days at the center of a fierce storm, David and I are making one final trip to the creek, hoping we haven't missed one of nature's most dramatic events, the annual salmon run.
So we're coming up to the creek, David. When you see lots of gulls around, that must be a good sign.
It is, definitely.
No sign of any bears, but there are plenty of salmon waiting at the mouth of the creek. We might just be in time.
I think David's happy. I'm happy.
I can't quite believe that all these fish have returned from the Pacific Ocean to spawn in the mountain lakes where they were born. And now that they're here, they still have to swim upstream and against the current.
These are all sockeye salmon. There is some really bright red ones. And they're all trying to make their way up to the upper lake. And for a fisheries biologist, this is just, well, mixed feelings. On one hand, it's absolutely impressive, spectacular. Seeing those fish fighting their way upstream. But on the other hand, I mean, it's a drama. And probably most of these fish will commit suicide, you know? And that's very sad too.
How much would you pay for one fillet in a restaurant?
Sockeye salmon is the most valuable of all the salmon. One of those fillets, smoked, cold smoked in Switzerland. The pound is $80.
And have a look behind you, David.
Okay, bear's starting to come. It's really time that I move off. I'm practically in the bear's food right now, so it's time for me to leave.
This is a remarkable sight. The fish need to make it to the top to spawn and reproduce. The bears need the fish to survive their winter hibernation. It has to be one of the most awe-inspiring natural events on Earth.
That's the one I was really eager to show you. And I'm quite happy that the first bear that shows up here is actually a bear that I know really well.
So would you be sitting in that stream if it was a bear you didn't know?
Never, ever. You only position yourself in you know, close to a creek when I know the bear.
The bears aren't the only ones who are benefiting from the salmon run.
The bird is feeding on salmon eggs. The only little pieces he can eat. So even small birds like that one feed on the important salmon run.
If someone said to me that I would be stood watching the salmon run, surrounded by wild brown bears, I would have thought they were mad. It is a truly breathtaking experience.
When you watch Looney and Zuni, you have the impression that they are like, really like teddy bears. But you have to be careful because they are still wild animals. There were times when Looney, who is sitting now there, hey Looney, There were times when I would just have had to reach out my hand and she would have come for a sniff. But you're not supposed to do that. It has to do with respect, in my opinion. Even though they might come really close and feel very comfortable around my presence, I would never ever reach out and touch a wild animal.
But when a large male bear arrives that David does not recognize, the mood quickly changes.
This is the kind of bear, just the way he's looking at us, you can see that he doesn't feel comfortable with us being here. So it's the kind of bear you would never ever approach, and which I consider even the 50-yard rule not enough of a distance. So it's the kind of bear that you have to leave alone and back off, because you can tell that he doesn't like the presence of other human beings.
I've just come back from looking at the salmon run at the creek. I have a feeling of peacefulness and mild euphoria. But what I really cannot believe is that last year I thought I got close to bears. This year, completely wild grizzly bears came within feet of me. Bears I'd never seen before, bears that'd never seen me before. A sow with her cubs walked within feet. If anyone were passing, looking at the scene of David and I with these grizzly bears so close to us, they would think we were completely insane.
As the bears prepare to hibernate, our time living among them is almost over. For David, it's a particularly emotional farewell. It's the first time he has revealed his life with bears to the outside world. On the eve of his departure, he hopes that he has made the right decision.
If there ever is a substantial increase in people camping out here in the wilds, I would feel responsible if people do the same thing as I do. This would personally make me very, very upset. But on the other hand, it's showing people my secrets, my way of life. And I hope, as you have experienced yourself now, that you can be safely around wild bears, and that they are so worth preserving and protecting.
Today we're packing up camp. There's another storm coming, and we've reached the end of our time. I've really thoroughly enjoyed meeting David and having exceptionally privileged encounters with wild coastal brown bears. This sure has been an adventure, but I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to getting home. But I'm going to remember this fondly.